we're recording so we could post on YouTube later, and we get a lot of views post. So yes, we are officially live right now. And
awesome.
Thank you, everybody. Happy Sunday. Today is our last strolo-u class for the spring semester, but we still have another one coming up in the fall. So, get ready for that. And before we get started, before I hand it off to our wonderful instructor, Megan, we're going to watch a short video, just, showing you about what strolo-u is about. And, you can always register for our other events at cflf.org. We have a paint night coming up in May. We have Champs Challenge coming up in June. If you live in Colorado, the June 4th is a nice 5K hike. And, so just keep up on our website. We have plenty of stuff for the summer, for the fall, for all year round. And, continue to support us so we could continue to help people living with CF live stronger and longer. And now I'm going to share a video. I think I'm getting better at this. I hope I am. Here we go. Got it. All right. And then over to you.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. I didn't realize I'm the last of the spring semester, so it's so exciting. That seemed like it went by so quickly. My name's Meg Hall, and I'm a social worker, a licensed clinical social worker. I work up in Maine, Portland, Maine, at the Maine Medical Partners pediatric specialty care, pulmonary and CF clinic, and I've been there for about 9 years. And I, let's see, when I'm not being a social worker, I am almost done with the 200-hour yoga teacher training. So that's why I'll be sharing some yoga with you all today. And I recently completed an aerial yoga training, which it's a bummer we can't do that because that's super fun, but that would be a little hard to do over Zoom. And I also used to teach dance, so I love moving my body and finding the ways that it can provide stress relief. I've been doing classes for CFLF for the spring and fall program since I think spring of 2020. So did some dance classes. I usually talk about self-compassion because I teach compassionate interactions. And so today I think we'll mix a little bit of some stretching and some ways that you can kind of move your body to feel like you're gently releasing stress in your lives. But I also will probably throw in some of the things that I do, which I need to record for you all as well, some self-compassion tips. So, it's been a crazy couple of years. I think we can all agree on that. And I think finding the time for ourselves, finding the time to take care of ourselves, managing the stress of the world, managing our own stress about the world. I can only speak for myself, but it's certainly been a challenge. And I think it's every day kind of like, how do we find and carve that time to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves? And I think it's something that I come back to quite frequently. So before we really get started with some of our movement, I just want to sink into that thought for a moment, and just how important it is to practice not just self-care, but also self-compassion. And in some ways, self-compassion, I think, has more meaning now than even self-care. And the self-compassion is really about not um, judging ourselves or being hard on ourselves. So it's being able to recognize where we're at in the present moment and how we're feeling. And instead of being harshly self-critical or judging ourselves for how we're feeling, it's practicing self-compassion and self-kindness, and recognizing that that things aren't one extreme or the other. Life is in the middle. It's kind of ironic. I have black and white, because often I say life isn't black or white, but it's in the gray. And how we feel moving through that is so important. So some of the things that I would just put out to you all as a challenge and as a thought for yourselves. Certainly some of the things that we're going to do today can be done at any point in time. And I'd like to share some things that could even be done maybe when you're sitting at home or at work or wherever. But I always encourage people to think about, what are the things that are important to do for you every day or regularly? And it could be moving your body, it could be eating certain foods. Certainly for people with CF, it's likely going to be making sure that you're taking care of your CF and doing your CF treatments and whatnot. How do we find that to be the cornerstone of our days, instead of having everything else be the cornerstone of our days? How do we put that time for ourselves first, knowing that self-care is self-interest and not selfish? How do we put water in our own cup before trying to pour it into another's? And I think that's something that I encourage everybody to come back to, is that evaluation of what is so important for you. And I just ordered a book. I haven't received it yet, but I'll have to let you all know maybe in the next iteration of things that I do, how it is. But I ordered a book and I ordered a journal, and it's about showing up for yourself. So I'll keep you all posted. But I think, how do we show up for ourselves is a big topic of conversation that I find myself having quite often, and not just with others, but with me. So, as we're going through today and really trying to stay rooted in the present, I think, also thinking about those things that are important for you to do for yourself. And I'll just share mine. I think for me, getting some movement in could be mostly is some form of stretching. And that could be taking an actual class, or it could be spending a couple minutes while I'm at work, moving my body and making sure that I'm stretching or rolling out things that might be a little bit more tight. I love crossword puzzles. So I do, the New York Times has a digital way to do crossword puzzles. And so I tried to do that in another kind of spelling bee thing on New York Times every day. And I've been doing Duolingo, which is another thing that I just find. So I try to do those 4 things every day, and something just for myself, and to try to kind of carve time out for me and let go of other things. And so, hopefully from today, you all be able to say, okay, what are the 2-3 things that I want to put into my life every day that's for me, and that I need to do for me and show up for myself. So keeping that in mind, and really this idea of focusing on ourselves, the first thing that we're going to do is just get nice and comfy. So as you can see, I'm in my bedroom, which is kind of where I have my comfy space for stretching and breathing and relaxing. And so wherever you are, wherever you may be, just finding a nice, comfortable seated position. It could be with your what we call easy pose, which is kind of your feet kind of crossed over and kind of like a comfortable position like that. If that is not comfortable for you, you can have your feet out, you can have your knees bent, whatever feels good for you. One thing too that you could do to make it a little bit easier is take, if you have like a yoga block, that's great. Not everybody has yoga blocks at home. Or you could take like a towel or blanket and just put that under your sits bones too, to get yourself a little elevated if that's more comfortable. So finding whatever position is comfortable for you, it could even be laying down, and just taking a moment. And you can choose whether you want your palms up or down, and whatever feels most just right for you right here and right now. And I've already closed my eyes, which is what I tend to do when I get started, because it allows me to feel a little bit more inward. And you can choose to close your eyes or keep your gaze downward, whatever feels best for you. And might be a good point just to kind of think about, oh, where are my shoulders? Can I hunch forward? Maybe we lift our shoulders up and back a little bit and just allow them to drop down away from our ears. And from here, this is where we start to move a bit more inward and start to focus on our breath. Start to focus on what it feels like to be right here, right now. Letting go of anything that's happened before this moment. Perhaps allowing that to be swept away with your breath. So as you breathe out, also just let go of anything that may have happened before this moment. And also let go of anything that might be coming. So if you find yourself thinking about what's happened earlier or what might be happening later, allowing those thoughts to come in and then allowing your breath to have them float away. You may start to notice what it feels like in your body to be seated like this, how your body feels on the surface beneath you, how your fingers feel when they're either down or up on your legs. You may notice things in your environment. I know I just heard some birds chirping. And any other things you notice that really ground you in this present. And certainly your breath can definitely be one of those. Breathing with a sense of ease. And perhaps introducing this idea of breathing in calm and breathing out any tension or stress in your mind or body. Perhaps starting to check in with your body and going inward again, starting to notice as you're taking a breath in and out, what's happening in my neck, my shoulders, in my legs, and my ears. What's happening in my body right here and right now. Again, breathing in a way that's easeful, and that sensation of breathing in calm. You know, breathing and breath can be something that may feel different for each person. and not forcing it, just letting it be in calm, relaxing opportunity. Once we're ready, start to maybe take a couple more breaths on your own. We'll be using our breath a lot in this practice today. Just taking a moment of stillness here for another breath or two before you're ready to open your eyes and awaken to where you are right now. So hopefully that practice in and of itself just helped you to start to feel a sense of calm and groundedness. And again, that's something that you can do wherever you are throughout the day. It can be laying down, it can be sitting at your desk, it can be anywhere. And that will be my focus today, is things that we can do that maybe we can fit in with our day more organically versus a practice that we have to do that feels not always accessible. So from here, we're just going to take a moment and do something that's called like a Sufi grind. So again, something that can kind of use our breath, but also loosen up our bodies. So the idea is, again, I'm sitting in my kind of easy seat that, and if you're seated up too much on a block or blanket, if you feel like you're too high, you can certainly take that blanket or block or I'm sitting on a towel. Mine feels comfy. I think I'm okay to stay where I'm at. But if you feel like your butt is too high, then it's okay to take something out. The idea is that when we move forward, we're making these circles. So as we move forward, we're going to breathe in, which is a little bit hard to do while I'm talking. So we breathe in. And then as we move back, we breathe out. Trying, if you have the clarity in your nose, to breathe in through your nose. And then you can choose whether you want to breathe out through your mouth or through your nose. So basically, we're making these circles. I'm trying to move our body kind of at the same time. Just kind of loosening things up. And then when you're ready, go the other way. Okay, now kind of got off a little bit from my pattern of breathing in and out. So we just got back into it. And breathing in and breathing out. Just getting everything kind of nice and loose. So when you've done the right amount on both sides, I have lost count. I come back to center. You might want to shake your legs out for a moment. Shake your arms out. Just kind of readjust, because we are going to sit here for just a tiny bit longer. So from here, why don't we start to work a little bit into just some upper body. So we kind of were getting things a little bit warmed up and just feeling some movement. And now, again, you could do this anytime if you're sitting anywhere, right? You can just it's kind of a rhythmic, fun thing to do. It's kind of calming in and of itself. And then from here, let's just take a moment to get a little bit of some neck stretches in. I know that my upper back and middle back seem to be where I hold a lot of tension and stress. I think that's probably common for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. I know I see a lot of kids who hold a lot of stress in the front of their body and the back, kind of in this area. So, and also in their neck. So I often talk with them about making sure that they're doing, making sure that they're not holding their breath, making sure that they're breathing, but then also making sure that they're doing some stretches. So we're just going to sit up tall, again, thinking about those smiling clavicles. So kind of shoulders up, keep things open, keep those shoulders dropped down, not tense, trying to drop them down without it being too harsh. And then we're just going to take a moment to take our, I'm going to take my right ear. Hopefully that's mirroring you all well. I'm just going to take my right ear down towards my right shoulder. And this is really to whatever degree feels right for you. Remember to keep breathing. And then come back up towards center, and then we'll go in the opposite direction again. For me, it's left ear to left shoulder. I close my eyes quite often because it just kind of feels again like I'm going inward. And then coming back up towards center. And then this time I'm going to extend my left fingertips kind of down towards the ground when I take my right ear to my right shoulder, just to get a little bit extra stretch. So starting up nice and tall, and then just starting to lean that into your shoulder. Hopefully you feel that additional stretch down to the left side of your body. And then we'll come back up towards center, switching sides. And you know, you can also put a hand on the shoulder. So I've got my left hand out to my shoulder, and that can kind of help keep things dropped down too. But this just feels really nice. So it really feels nice for you. Coming back up towards center, we'll just take a couple of like little movements of bringing our chin towards our chest. And coming back up towards center, bringing our nose up to the center, and then looking upward. Just nice little movement, nothing forced. Nothing past the point where our bodies want us to go. And then maybe taking a couple times just looking left and right. We also say having our heads move in the no direction. So we've got yes, and then no, moving mindfully, which is the most important piece of this all. Back to center, making circles with our nose. So I've heard, let's see, I'm not sure when I first heard this, but I love the idea of using our nose to make the circles. It keeps it from being this like, if I do that, I drop a lot into it and I feel like it gets kind of crunchy. But if we can think about making some nice small circles with our nose, it keeps things a little bit more in line. And then the other way. Again, something else you can definitely do while you're sitting anywhere. I must do this a gazillion times a day. And then when it feels like you've got, if you want to go the other way one more time, just take some time for yourself here. One more time the other way. Nice. And then come back up towards center. Let's just take a moment to kind of like lift our shoulders up and down and just loosen all of that out a little bit more. Nice. Maybe a forward movement. Just really dropping everything down. Whew. Even though I already did yoga today, I'm already feeling a difference. I hope you are too. I feel way more relaxed all of a sudden. From here, let's extend both hands out. And we're just going to do a nice inhale. And you can certainly look up as you inhale. And then as you exhale, bring your arms down. So again, just breath with movement, getting our upper body nice and loose. Breathe in. And breathe out. Let's do that 2 more times. Breathe in. And breathe out. One more time. From here, let's just bend a little bit more into the right side of our body. So we're just gonna we're gonna keep our left hand or fingertips on the ground, lift our right arm up, and then just bend over a little bit. Perhaps your arm bends a little bit into that right side of your body. And coming back up center, we'll change sides. We'll do that a couple more times because that feels nice. Hand goes up, just nice gentle stretch. Your degree to which you want to stretch over. And then one more time, lift that right arm or left arm, depending on what side you started on. You choose. Do you want to sink into that a little bit more? While also trying to keep both of your sits bones, or making sure your right butt cheek is not lifting up. You want to keep that nice and rounded. And then we'll come back up. And then another time, stretching up and over. And then once you're seated up, we're going to take that right arm up, put it on the left knee nice and gently. We're just going to do a little simple twist here, really trying to twist from our center. And you choose if it feels comfortable to maybe look a little bit more towards the left or all the way back. Just a nice little way to bring out our spine. And then coming back towards center. Same thing, other side. Left arm goes up, tap that right knee. Right hand can walk a little bit more behind you, sit up nice and tall, and start to twist a little bit more towards the right. I could stay here forever. This feels so good. Back towards center. Couple more stretches here before we move into some cat cows and some other things. We're just going to take both hands. You can kind of start with your palms together, interlace those, do a nice big stretch forward, making a nice C shape. Stretch up, and hands go back behind you, fingertips, opening everything up. And then we'll do that one more time. Breathe in. Stretch forward. Breathe out. Breathe in. And let it all go behind you. Breathe out. Nice job. Shake it out. Make sure you have like some water, some other things. It's, I think, important to make sure your space feels nice and comfy and you have the things around that you need. I always usually have some tea and some water when I'm doing some stretching. Okay, so from here, we'll give our legs a little break from where they've been doing a lot of sitting. And we're gonna come up and do cat cow. So I'll move this down a little bit so you can see me a little bit better. What we're gonna do is just basically be on all fours and have your hands nice and spread. You don't want your fingers to be together. You want them to be spread. And I like to have I guess it's my pointer finger a little bit more forward. And, you know, really trying to keep the weight off of our wrists. We don't want to make our wrists more exhausted. So I'm going to just turn to the side so you can see. So, which is the nice thing about videos, when you can kind of see yourself, right? So when we think about cow, we're going to breathe in, do a little arch. Make sure that you're not just allowing your spine, everything to collapse. Make sure there's a little engagement. And then when we cat, we concave up like a cat. So it's a breathe in, letting your belly drop, chin looks up, breathe out, up like a cat. Breathe in and breathe out. This is, like I said, good to peek at yourself because I don't often even get to see myself. So I'm gonna look at the camera and see how I'm looking. A couple more times. So as we go into cow, look up, that. Belly button is fine. Breathe in. One more time. And nice job. So you can come back if it's comfy and sit back on your feet a little bit here. Just shake things out for a moment. And give those wrists a break. If it's not comfortable to sit kind of more on your back like this, if it hurts your knees, you can always come down and have a seat. And yeah, let's just take a moment to stretch our wrists out for a quick second, and then we'll go into child's pose and do some threading of the needle, which is so good on the upper body, and a downward dog, because I love a downward dog. So yeah, just take a moment for yourself, gently with your fingers, maybe pushing a little, stretching out all that nice part of your wrist. Whatever feels right for you, maybe taking some circles, shaking them out, shake it off like Taylor Swift says. So what I always say to the kids that I work with. Okay, so child's pose is another pose that can be really comfy or can also feel a little more challenging. So if I do yoga a lot, and I also was a dancer for many years, so my hips have a little bit more probably flexibility than some people. So for me, when I get into child's pose, I put my knees to the width of my mat. I put my big toes together. I sink my butt back towards those my toes or my heels, and I reach my hands forward and allow my head to come down towards the mat. However, I know that may not feel comfy for everybody. So we're going to spend a few moments in child's pose. So if you are somebody that, as you're starting to get into it, you say, it doesn't feel comfy for me, here's a couple of little hacks that you can do. One is that you can take your trusty blanket or pillow or whatnot, unfold it a little bit, and give yourself a little extra cushion so that you have some extra stuff to help you sink your so this is giving me a little buoyancy. So it's not my lower part of my body doing all the work. And then if it's still like, okay, my head is not anywhere near the ground, you can take a block or even a book, if you have a book handy, and you can put your forehead towards that object and allow yourself to rest. So those are a couple of options as we're getting into child's pose. If any of those don't feel comfortable for whatever reason, then you can feel free to just sit and take, a kind of gentle forward fold wherever you are. Maybe extend your fingertips out a little bit and make sure you breathe. We'll do some more forward folds later, but just taking, maybe a little head movement, whatever feels good for you. And then when we do the thread the needle, you can also do, again, if you're sitting at work and this is not accessible, you can certainly do a little bit of a twist again, like we did before. So for those of us that are going to get into child's pose, remember you have some handy things nearby that might support you. And again, I'll do this version so that for folks who would like that, they have it accessible. So I've got my towel, no fancy blanket or anything, just a towel. And so I'm going to come down, maybe in my cat-cowish area. I'm going to sneak that towel. And in fact, I got to undo it one more, kind of more of the long way. I'm going to sneak that. So it is kind of around my calf muscles, so that when I sink my hips down, I'm creating a little space. So then from here, I'm gonna just reach my hands out, and you'll see my butt's a little bit more in the air than it might normally be for child's pose, but that's okay. And then we'll take a block if your forehead doesn't meet the floor, and we'll just take a nice moment to breathe here. From here, we're just going to do a little bit of that threading the needle, like I mentioned. So I'm going to take my block out of the way for this. I'm going to lift my right arm up, and I'm going to make a circle, semicircle with that right arm. And then the right arm is going to dive under my left, so that I am doing a little additional stretch. So for here, again, depending on you, you can maybe bring your ear down to the ground if that feels like that works, or you could use your trusty block or book and perhaps put your head on that. Or you could put, let's see, I think you could also put you could rest your arm on it too. So there's ways to bring the floor up to you that may feel more accessible. So for me, I'm just going to do the traditional way right now. Just do a nice stretch. I'm going to walk that right hand out. Do a nice big stretch up. Bring that down. And then we'll just go right to the other side. Again, we have our props available, a book or a block. I've still got my towel underneath my thighs and my calf muscles. I'm going to do a nice big stretch up. And then I'm going to bring that arm either down and through, or you can make a little circle and through. And come on down and get a little bit extra stretch into that left side. And then we'll come back up and do one more stretch. All right, we're just gonna briefly do a small standing pose, which is basically, again, one of my all-time favorites, which is downward dog. So downward dog is like creating a V shape with our body, and I think it is one of the best feeling stretches. So I'm starting off, I'll turn so you all can see me and get my props out of the way. I'm going to start off in my cat-cow pose, or my all fours. And then from here, I'm going to actually walk my hands out a little bit, just so that feels a little bit better for me. I'm going to lift. I suppose you could lift one leg at a time, but that might feel a little more laborious. I'm going to lift my hips up, and I'm creating a V in my body. So again, not necessary for your heels to reach. Maybe yours don't. Maybe you're a little more up. That is okay. Make sure those fingers are nice and spread. You might walk your dog, kind of move one heel towards the ground and the other. Make sure you're breathing. Make sure you're not dumping a lot of weight into your shoulders, but yeah, really creating that nice V shape in your body. Should feel that in many different places. Whew. Perhaps find a settling point just for a moment. And then from here, we're just going to walk our hands back towards our feet. And we're just going to, I like to take 2 fists to make sure I'm hip width. Just take a moment of a nice gentle forward fold, bending those knees generously, letting your head sink. Perhaps grabbing opposite wrists with opposite hands, maybe a little ragdoll. Then your hands can go down to the ground. I don't know, I might bump my head as I move up vertebrae by vertebrae. Nice slow roll up. Head comes up last. Yes, I'm a little bit smushed. So I'm gonna move myself a little bit over here. So from here, we're just gonna go up to go down one more time. So let's see. So sorry, I had to move so far back because otherwise my sloped ceiling is getting in the way. So we do a nice deep breath in. And as we exhale, nice fold forward again. Wiggle in whatever way feels good. And then from here, we can move back down or to the ground again in whatever way feels good for you. So for me, I'm just literally gonna come down and do a little mini squat and then make my way back down to the floor. Okay. So let's just do a couple more forward folds, but seated. So forward folds and legs up the wall are 2 poses that can always be really nice to put into your practice as far as being just really good for our mood. So with forward folds, there's a couple of different things we can do. We can do one with our legs that are semi-straight or kind of straight, depending on your flexibility. So for everybody, let's just bend our knees a little bit, come up on our heels slightly. And we want to think about folding from our hips. We don't want to collapse down, which is, I know what probably a lot of us did when we were doing this when we were younger. So again, for me, I'm pretty flexible. So my legs can be a little bit more straight as I sit up and I move forward and I grab one foot in the other. That's me. You can also, again, keep your knees a little bent and then sit up and then bend forward to whatever degree feels good for you. And as you feel comfy, you can maybe stretch your fingers out a little bit more, or you can try dropping your legs down a little bit. We're just going to try to do something that feels like a nice forward fold. And then walking back up. And again, this is something you could do while seated at work, right? So, or at home, like, so if you're sitting, you can just take a nice breath in and then just kind of do a little fold forward, making sure you're not collapsing your neck, but just a nice little fold forward. And then engaging that core to come back up. Let's take one of my other favorite poses, which is, I think we all did in gym at some point, the butterfly pose. So taking our fingers to the soles of our feet and our soles of our feet together and allowing our knees to come out wide. This is a great place that you can add in a little bit of a foot massage. You can kind of just get in there with your fingers and massage some of those insteps and parts of you that might be feeling a little bit more yicky, or just allow your feet to kind of be still. And then this is another place that we can take a forward fold from. So again, sitting up nice and tall, making sure that we're not collapsing and making sure that we're moving from our center, our hips. Not collapsing, nice and one movement moving forward. Coming back up nice and slow. I often have to remind myself to come up nice and slow because sometimes I will just get myself thrown in and thrown out of things. Let me do a quick time check. Wow. Okay. Look at that. things move so quickly. Okay, so let's come back down to our back. We'll talk through some final things. So let me see if I can get this how I want it, actually. So when it comes to coming down to our back, I like to go more from having the soles of my feet on the floor. So before we even go there, let's just give ourselves a hug. So literally, soles of the feet on the ground, knees are up. I'm wrapping my arms around. Again, I have short arms, so it probably I can match more than others. And I'm just gonna give myself a nice hug. Thank yourself for everything that you've done for yourself today. Make yourself into a little ball. And then from here, you can roll onto your side and gently maybe come down into a semi-fetal position and kind of just flop down on your back, or you can move nice and slow, whatever works for you. So we're gonna just be on our back for a moment. And from here, we're gonna pull those knees in and just give that back a little bit of a rock and roll, work out any kinks, work out anything that we haven't gotten to yet. Anything that feels good. And then we'll come back to stillness. You can extend your legs all the way out. Again, shake them out, make a big starfish, whatever feels good. You can stay here and relax in your final resting pose. Or if you'd like to try, we can do just a couple of seconds of legs up the wall, or I think it's also called waterfall, which can be done a couple of different ways. So I have a block which I can use that I'll put so that I can comfortably bring my legs up and feel like I'm supported in my back of my body. You can also use a book, you can use a towel, you can use your hands. You can lay on the floor and put your legs up on a bed, the side of the bed. The idea is to just lift those legs up over your head. So I'm gonna just get down, and I might just use my hands right now. And I'm gonna get nice and comfy, try to press my lower back into the floor, and lift one leg and then the other. Not pulling it so close to you that your back rises off, but really just allowing your legs to be floating up nicely and comfortably. Great pose to do before bed to help with sleep. Just a really good pose to do in general. I just like to show that one. So from here, again, you can roll back onto your side and then onto your back. And then we'll just finish up with some what we call Shavasana or corpse pose or whatever you want to call it. It's just the way that we typically end practice. And that is to allow our body to sink and breathe and absorb all the good that you've given it over the past hour. And from here, this is your own. I'm going to sit up so I can guide you, but if you're laying down, that was not the most graceful way to get up. But if you're laying down, just taking a moment to return to your breath and allow your body to feel sinking in and connected to that ground below you. Noticing any shifts or changes or things that have come from giving yourself this time for self-care and self-compassion over the past hour. continuing to breathe in and out. Giving yourself some of that stillness. So I have a book that I read quite often. It's called basically a daily yoga, kind of a year of living in yoga. And I'm going to skip ahead to tomorrow's quote because I think it's a little bit more in tune with what we're doing today. And it says, practice requires listening to your body. Too often we practice by telling our body what to do. Today, when you are on your yoga mat or in life, spend more time listening to your body instead. So hopefully you all were able to listen to your body today and breathe and reconnect. And when you feel like you are interested in coming to sit up again, gently move your body to one side and press yourself up to seated. Or if you want to just stay laying down and enjoying this, you're welcome to do that too. And thank you all for allowing me to be here with you today. And hopefully you feel a little more light inside and out. Thanks so much.
And thank you, Megan, for being here today and guiding us through that wonderful meditation. I recently have been doing yoga a little more with my sister. We go together.
Oh, yeah.
And, we was doing this thing called hot yoga.
Oh, yeah.
And like, yeah, that was really fun. It was interesting because like it was the first time for both of us.
Yeah.
And we was like sweating so much, but like, you know, it was like really, really therapeutic. Like, you know, I felt great and sore at the same time. It was such a strange feeling.
I find yoga to be, and again, everybody's different, but for me, it's the best practice for my mind and my body. It feels good in my body because of all the sitting I do all day and just the ways that I hold tension, and I'm getting older. But I think more than anything, it's that, you know, if I take a 1 hour class, or even if I just take 30 minutes for myself in the morning, it's like, this is the time that I'm actually present and breathing and focused. And like, I've really started to find the mental and emotional part of it to be even more beneficial than the physical. So big fan of yoga over here. And if I don't move my body and stretch it every day, by the end of the week, it's like,
yeah, so stiff, like you feel the difference.
Yeah. And like I said, throughout today's practice, I mean, I'm really a big believer in, you know, when throughout the day, can you just, you know, like do a couple of neck stretches, or, you know, sit and stretch. And it doesn't have to be getting down on the mat and doing a certain amount of poses. It can really be, you know, just finding those little moments during the day for sure.
Yeah. Look, there she is. There she is. Okay, ready? Here. Okay, say hi.
Hi.
How are you? We were confused about paint night, but we're really excited about this class. Thank you so much.
Yo,
And
you're
Kieran,
welcome.
come in the picture, baby. Kieran's gonna be doing yoga too. Come on.
Yeah.
Stand up so they can see you. She said, "Oh, I love yoga." Sit up, baby. All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, let's go ahead and get our mats and stuff, okay? We're gonna sign up for just a second so we can get. Just 1 second, sorry.
So Jennifer, this is now up on live so people can do it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So well, it will be up in like a couple of moments. I made a few miscalculations, but it will be up in like maybe like 5 minutes after we finish recording.
Okay. Sounds good.
But I would like to finish up by saying thank you to our sponsors, Nestle Health Science, Viatris, and KAZ for continuing to support us in our endeavors and bringing educational content to the CF community, as well as things for the CF community to help with, our mental health, our well-being, the full person. And thank you, Megan, for your time today, for your continued support, being with us, like, from when we first started.
Thank you. It's
And
yeah.
And thank you everyone who has participated with strolo-u. We'll be back in the fall. This is our last class for the spring semester. And for everyone who would like to continue to participate in our different events, go to cflf.org and you'll see all the stuff, all the details, the dates and everything on our website. So thank you again, and everyone have a great day.
Thank
Okay.
you. Bye.
Bye.